There's a particular kind of silence that happens on live television. Not dead air, something different. A small pause where everyone in the room seems to be waiting to see how someone is going to recover from a mistake they just made in front of millions of people. That's exactly the kind of moment Bradley Walsh found himself in recently, and it's the kind of moment that, once you've seen it, you don't really forget. For anyone who's followed Bradley Walsh's career, you already know this is a man who built his entire television persona on confidence. He's the guy who can read out the most ridiculous quiz questions with a perfectly straight face, banter with chasers, tease contestants, and somehow never look rattled. That's the image. That's what makes him so beloved. So when a moment came along where someone actually turned to him and asked, almost half joking but with just enough edge to it, "Do you know what you're doing?" It landed differently than it would have with almost any other presenter. It's hard to say for certain what was going through his mind in that exact second, but if you watch the clip back, there's a flicker there. A tiny pause before he laughs it off. And that pause is honestly the most interesting part of the whole moment. Viewers online picked up on it almost instantly. Some people watching interpreted it as good-natured banter, the kind of thing that happens constantly on live shows where timing slips and someone calls it out. Others felt like there was something a little more real buried underneath the joke, like even Bradley himself needed a second to recalibrate before brushing past it. What makes this kind of moment so fascinating isn't really the blunder itself. Presenters fumble lines, lose their place, mix up names, all the time. That's the nature of live television. What makes it fascinating is what happens in the seconds immediately after. Bradley Walsh has spent years cultivating an on-screen presence where he's always the one in control, always the one asking the tricky questions, always a step ahead. So watching him get gently turned on, even for a moment, even in jest, creates this strange little shift in the dynamic that audiences instantly notice, even if they can't quite explain why. There's also something very human about it. Viewers don't actually want their favorite presenters to be flawless robots. They want moments like this. The split second where the polished, in-control television personality looks just a little bit caught out, just a little bit human. It's almost endearing. It reminds people that underneath the format, underneath the lighting and the script and the years of experience, there's still a real person standing there, thinking on his feet, occasionally getting it wrong like anyone else would. And that's probably why this clip traveled the way it did. Not because it was scandalous, not because anything dramatic happened, but because it was relatable in a way that big produced television moments often aren't. People clipped it, shared it, commented on it, not out of mockery, but almost out of affection. The comments under these kinds of clips tend to follow a familiar pattern. People saying things like, "Classic Bradley," or pointing out how quickly he recovered, almost proud of him for laughing it off rather than getting flustered. It's worth sitting with that for a second, because it says something about why Bradley Walsh has lasted as long as he has in British television. Plenty of presenters would have gotten visibly thrown by a moment like that. Some might have overcorrected, gotten defensive, tried too hard to regain control of the room. Bradley didn't do any of that. He let the joke land, absorbed it, and moved forward without missing a beat. That's not nothing. That's actually a pretty rare skill, and it's part of why audiences trust him the way they do. There's also a broader pattern worth noticing here, one that goes beyond this single clip. Live television has always had this strange magnetic pull when things go slightly off script. We don't tend to remember the perfectly smooth segments. We remember the stumbles, the unexpected interruptions, the moments where the seams show just a little. Maybe that's because those moments feel honest in a medium that's often anything but. While nothing about this particular exchange suggests any real tension behind the scenes, it's exactly the kind of small, human flicker that keeps people watching and rewatching. So what do you think actually happened in that pause before he laughed it off? Did it feel like harmless banter to you, or did it seem like Bradley genuinely needed that extra second to find his footing again? Let us know what you noticed when you watched the moment back, because sometimes the smallest stumbles end up telling us the most about the people we've watched on our screens for years.